Alright, so today we are going to be surviving 700 days in hardcore Minecraft, and we have so much to get done in this video. I want to make a Magma Cube farm so that way I can get the magma blocks needed to make an unlimited gold farm from piglins. I also want to get the hardest advancement in the game, How Did We Get Here, which means I have to rig together something extremely complicated so that way I can have 26 potion effects applied to me all at the same time. And to end it all off, I want to fight the Ender Dragon, and not just one, but two withers at the same time. This video is going to be absolutely crazy. We have so much to get done, so I hope you guys enjoy it. If you do, please remember to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications, as it really helps the video out. And with that, let's just jump into it. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is actually make my Magma Cube farm, so that way I could use that magma to make my Piglin Farm. First, I need to get to the roof of the nether, which is incredibly simple. You just use a ladder and an ender pearl, and there you go. Next, I made another portal on top of the nether, so that way we can simply use this portal to get back whenever we want it without having to use the ladder and ender pearl glitch. And fortunate enough for me, this portal is actually pretty close to my base. As you can see, really just right over this little mountain here, and we are back at our base. So we don't have to travel very far at all anytime we want to go to the roof of the nether. Now that I had that done, I could gather all of the supplies needed to make this farm, which you need quite a lot of stone and glass to get this done, so it's certainly gonna take us a minute. Like for me, I have a stone generator that I built a while ago, which is how I've been collecting all of my stone for my previous builds, so I used this, and then I also went and got a ton of sand and had to smelt all of this sand, literally stacks and stacks of it, to get all the glass I needed. And I just decided to dye it all red just for fun because I have the iron golem generator, which gives me a ton of the poppies for the red dye I need. So I figured, why not? We'll just use it. And eventually, after quite some time, we finally got all of the supplies that we needed, and we could start working on building this thing. Overall, it's not really that complicated of a build. We just set up some minecarts down here, which pick up all the items through the floor when the magma cubes die. We then just have to build a spawning area, and that's really it. You put an iron golem in the center because magma cubes hate iron golems for some reason and try to attack them. So as you can see right here, the magma cubes try to attack the iron golem, so they fall all the way down. The wither roses at the bottom damage and kill them, and they drop all of their magma cream. I could have added more rows to this, that way more magma cubes spawn, but I honestly didn't feel like it, and I figured this would be good enough for now. So I AFK'd really high up in the nether, so that way the only place mobs can spawn is at the actual grinder. So I just sat AFK here for about 15 minutes to see how much we could get. And once the time was up, this is what we got. Stacks and stacks and stacks of magma blocks. This was so much faster than actually just trying to go and mine all of the magma blocks necessary. It would have taken me literally the entire 100 days just get all of the literally 3,000 magma blocks I would need in the future to make my piglin farm. So this was definitely going to save me a lot of time. Next, I wanted to get even more wither roses so that way I could use them to create a wither skeleton farm later in this video. So what I decided to do is build a pen area out of end brick, because withers are actually not strong enough to break another brick. So using Pongo to lead all of the cows into that pen meant later when I spawned a wither to kill all of the cows to get the wither roses, the pen would not break, the cows would not escape, and it would be so much easier for the wither to just kill the cows and give me the wither roses. So I just immediately got off to breeding them, and then the next thing I needed obviously was the wither skulls to get the wither to kill all of them. So as you can see, my process right here of getting wither skeletons is incredibly simple. You just fly really far away, so that way all mobs in the area despawn. You fly back to the fortress, and probably about 30% of the time, this is what you'll get when you fly back. A whole bunch of wither skeletons. And as you can see right there, I already got one skull, so I just need to do that over and over and over again till I get all 3 skulls. This time around, it took me about 2 days to get all of the skulls I needed, so once I finished that, I flew back, and we could continue working on breeding and growing our cows to get all of our wither roses. I did want to work on something rather than just AFKing and breeding cows the entire time, so I decided to get one of the other hidden advancements in the game, which is killing 5 unique mobs with 1 shot of a crossbow. It's a pretty simple thing to do. You just lure a bunch of animals into a small little pit, you punch it with your fists, that way they are all on basically 1 HP, and I also decided to use a damage arrow for my crossbow, just so I made sure to deal as much damage as possible, lined up the shot for all 5 mobs, took the shot, and it's really that simple. Honestly, not really that difficult as long as you know what you're doing. But anyway, now I didn't really have anything else to do in this area for now, so I just continue to breed the cows as quickly as possible for the next several days until eventually I had what I estimated to be around 400 cows in this little pen area. And I figured that's probably good enough. We can probably spawn the wither in now. So I spawned him in, flew away, and I wanted to have a nice time lapse from replay mod to show you guys the wither just killing all the cows. But I think having 400 cows kind of ruined my Minecraft, because as I was saving the replay, Minecraft ran out of memory and crashed, and the recording was completely corrupted. So instead, here's just me running around with the cows. I wasn't certain if the wither explosions would destroy the wither roses on the ground, so I just went over there to pick them up as the cows died. And yeah, it took about 8 minutes for the wither to kill all the cows, but eventually it did, and now all that was left was for me to actually just kill the wither. So I dealt those few final hits, and there you go. Got my wither star, and I got just barely enough wither roses for my wither farm that I would be making in the future. So overall, not that bad. Next, I wanted to get the other hidden advancement in Minecraft. How did we get here? Which, as I said, you need to have 26 potion effects applied all at the same time. What I had to do first was find an ocean monument that still had an elder guardian so I could get mining fatigue, and then I wanted to set up shop at an island near that monument. So I found this little island, and this is where I was going to be staying. So I really quickly just lattined out part of this island where I would be putting my contraption, and now I already had all of the supplies I needed to get this done, but I still had the most difficult thing left to do, which is lure a shulker from the end to this little island several thousand blocks away from spawn, which is incredibly difficult. Now, as you guys know, I've killed the ender dragon several times, so I have many different end portals. I found that this individual portal put me closest to an end city compared to any other. The nearest end city was about 300 blocks away, so I went over there, and I quickly got that shulker stuck in a minecart. I then had to build a railway system a total of 350 blocks from that city all the way to the portals. That way I can get them just to the end portal. Overall, none of this is really difficult. It's just so incredibly tedious. As you can see, that is the shulker being transported, and I lined this railway system up. That way they immediately went through the portal. Now that I got that done, I had to lead them from that portal to the end portal to get them back into the overworld. Like I said, incredibly tedious. But first, before I could do that, I wanted to go back to the overworld to make myself some diamond armor because the thorns on my armor was actually hurting the shulker. So once I got that done, you actually cannot shove a shulker in a minecart. You have to use a second minecart to shove them. So that's something that's also really annoying. But yeah, I got that done. And sadly, the shulker will not travel to the overworld as long as they're still in the minecart. And I found out, interesting enough, that the shulker's hitbox is too big. You cannot break the minecart while the shulker is in it. So I was struggling for so long to try and figure out how to get them out until after doing some research, I finally figured out I gotta use a cactus. So I shoved the shulker into the cactus. They got out of the minecart. So that way I could then put them into a boat, use a piston to shove them up, move them over the end portal, leading them directly on one block. After that was done, I then had to use a piston to shove them down, then move the piston down and shove them down once more until finally, after like 2 hours, we had this shulker in the overworld. And I actually lost the shulker for a while. I didn't realize the shulker went to 0-0 rather than just world spawn. But yeah, eventually found him, and then I had to plot a course from 0-0 to the monument. Lucky enough for me, there were enough rivers that I could plot a course without ever having to lead the boat, but I did have to many times basically break parts of the land away and connect several rivers together so that way we could just easily travel. So we basically just went from river to river to ocean to river to river to finally hitting the ocean. Yeah, it took me quite a while to plot out our course, but eventually we were able to get it done. We hit the ocean until all we had to do was travel to the monument in that ocean. And finally, after quite some time, we were there. I then now could actually properly build everything else needed to get this done. And I will let me explain this live. Alright, so this is a bit complicated, but I'm gonna try to explain it as best as possible. So we already went and got our bad omen hero of the village. The beacon is currently giving us our resistance and haste. Anytime we get in water, this conduit gives us the conduit power effect. And before I actually do this, I do have to swim out towards the monument to get the Biting Fatigue from the Guardian. Then once we're back, we can get this started. Basically, we'll flip this lever, which will start this Observer Repeater, shooting all of these potions out at us, which there are 11 potions here. We then get in the water. Make sure not to actually start swimming, because then if we do, the dolphin will give us the Dolphin's Grace too soon. So we just go to float over towards the Shulker to get the levitation effect from him. Also hit myself with the spectral arrow. Then we can go back down in the water, actually start swimming, make sure we eat the golden apple, the puffer fish, and our suspicious stew. Then we touch this wither rose to give us our final effect, and it should all work. Hopefully, because I didn't make enough extra potions for this, so we've really only got one shot at this. Alright, so I just went through and double-checked everything, and I'm pretty sure we are good to go. I just need to get my mining fatigue. Yep, there we go. Now we can make our way back. Alright, so I went ahead, moved around a lot. We have lost quite a lot of hunger. I think that should be enough to eat all of this food here. We got everything set up. We are good to go. So I guess we just do it and hope for the best. Flip the lever. Eat the golden apple. Go down. Make sure not to swim. Open this up. Get hit by the Shulker. Come on, Shulker. Shulker, you gonna... Is the Shulker gonna hit me? There we go. Okay, eat this. Shoot this. Go down. Start swimming. Eat this. Go into the rose. And we... Oh my gracious. Get out of my way, dolphin. Get the heck out of here. Okay, let me just go ahead and drink this so I don't die. I don't think you guys fully understand how long this took. It's literally been all day. It seriously, yeah, it took me all day to get this done. I started working on this first thing in the morning when I woke up, and it was about 5 to 6 hours after that I finally got this done. Not all of that time was spent in this world actually working on this. I did have a creative world that I was also testing this on to make sure I got everything exactly correct. But yeah, took me about 5 to 6 hours of work and preparation just to get this singular achievement. It is by far and away the most tedious, exhausting thing I have ever done in the history of playing Minecraft. Was it worth it? Who knows? Next, I wanted to do something arguably even more tedious, and that is make a Piglin Farm. And for that, I still need about 2,000 more magma blocks, so I went over to my Magma Cube farm and AFK'd for quite a while, so that way I could get all of the magma cream I needed to craft those blocks. Now, once we got all of that, we were still not done because we still needed an additional 1,300 glass and then an additional 500 of just other miscellaneous resources to actually get this build done. But eventually, we got everything needed to construct this build. First things first, we made the collection area, which I made a piston contraption so that way I can switch it between manual and automatic, where I could manually kill them or they would automatically die of fall damage. Once that was done, I built the tower up and all these spawning platforms. I built all the way up, and one of the first things I built here was a protection against from gas spawning. Once that was done, I had to fill in all 19 platforms, and you're going to see a bit of a pause in the recording here. That's because at that point, I was recording for over an hour and a half, and I was afraid my Minecraft's going to crash, so I just temporarily stopped it and restarted it and finished the build. And then after that, I had to cover all of this area in half slabs to prevent mobs from spawning anywhere else other than in the mob grinder. This is by far and away not perfect. I still needed to add several hundred stone blocks, but I was already doing this for several hours and my arm was literally hurting from pressing right click so much to place down those stone slabs. So I figured that was good enough. We could finish the rest later. Because the Piglin Farm still worked, it just wasn't nearly as efficient as it could be. They're all dying automatically right now. One push of the button, they all fall on the slime blocks, and now it is manual mode, where I can use my looting 3 sword to get even more gold. And to give you guys the proper frame of mind on how long getting that achievement and then building this Piglin Farm took, over the course of nearly 15 hours. Those are the only 2 things I got done. I got the achievement and I made the Piglin Farm. In 15 hours, that is the only 2 things I did. When I AFK'd for a day with this Piglin Farm set to automatic, I did manage to get 10 gold blocks from it. I then swapped it to manual and manually killed them with my looting 3 sword, and in turn, I got 16 gold blocks over the same period of time. So obviously this Piglin Farm can be better, but I still need to place hundreds or even thousands of more stone slabs to optimize it even more. I was working on this thing for so long, I just couldn't be asked. It was nearly 2 a.m. at this point. I just wanted to go to bed. So I AFK'd, went to sleep, and the next day I improved my farm even more. I made an automatic chest sorter to sort all of the gold nuggets and gold ingots away from all of the swords and the rotten flesh, and I also placed all of the necessary stone slabs needed to optimize this thing to its fullest. So we are about 3/4 of the way done with this 700-day video, and all we've done is work on some farms and some achievements. So I actually wanted to do some building. So I decided to actually just completely get rid of my villager housing so that way I could replace them with actual proper houses. Like I've said many times previously, I'm not a good builder, so once I found good designs online that I liked, I got to work on getting all of the supplies needed, and I built this house. Overall, turned out pretty good. I liked it. I did decorate the inside. As you can see, we have our door greeter here. Yeah, we'll just skip right past him. I don't know why I added proper blocks in here. It's not like I'm gonna use this house. It's just decoration in the background. But yeah, here it is. I thought it looked pretty nice. I did decorate it a bit more in the future, but I wanted to quickly get to work on building a second house because I did have plenty of room here for a second house. So I figured, why not? Let's find another design that I like, get all the resources needed, and build a second house. So that's exactly what I did. It took me about a day per house. So overall, it didn't take me too long for these houses. I did do some extra decorating around with the grass and stuff. And this house, I decided to be a bit more practical. I put my furnaces and blast furnaces in it because I had a ton of them and I didn't know where to put them, so I just figured, heck, we'll put it in there. Then we also had some chests for mass storage of things like stone and sand that I use a lot of. So that house was definitely a lot more practical than the other one, and they both looked absolutely fantastic in the background right next to my castle and were a huge improvement from just the standard vanilla villager houses. Next, I was going to be working on yet another automatic mob farm. This time around, we are making an automatic wither skeleton farm. Now, I had to fly around the nether for quite some time till I finally found this fortress, because like the Piglin Farm, you have to use stone slabs to prevent mobs from spawning, so ideally you want a fortress over a pool of lava. This one wasn't perfect, but it was still the best one that I could find. So the first thing that I did was actually do the ladder and ender pearl glitch to glitch to the roof. I then used this really interesting glitch that I didn't know existed until just recently, where you just break bedrock, because apparently you can do that. So yeah, once I had a proper hole to get back to the spot, that meant I could easily travel over the roof of the nether to get to the spot in the future, rather than having to fly through the nether. Once that was done, I just had to actually build the thing, which surprisingly didn't take that long to build the initial farm here. All that you're seeing right here, building the nether rack and the stone brick and all that, only took me about 15 minutes. It's pretty simple. The thing that takes the longest and the hardest is filling the entire area in with a ton of slabs. But before we could do that, I did have to lure a piglin to this farm because for some reason, wither skeletons hate piglins, so they try to attack piglins. So as I was luring a piglin for our farm, this blaze decided to attack me and the piglin got caught in the crossfire and killed him, and that was incredibly annoying. But yeah, eventually I did get a piglin trapped in the middle, name tagged him so they wouldn't despawn, and this thing was pretty much done, except for all of the slabs. Now, mobs spawn in a 128 block radius around a player, so I downloaded a mod to visualize 128 blocks away from where my AFK spot was gonna be, and everything you see inside the red hologrammed blocks has to be covered in slabs. Now, I heard that was pretty tedious, and I know what you guys are thinking. You heard it was tedious? Yes, well, I mean, it was definitely tedious, and I may or may not have hired my brother to may or may not have placed all of the slabs for me because I didn't want to do it. Again, maybe. I definitely did that though. I did not place them myself. I really didn't feel like it. It took so long and I had no desire to do that. But anyway, once we placed out the wither roses, that meant the only mobs that could spawn were wither skeletons, and this thing was done. Unfortunately, I could not AFK at the bottom for wither skeletons to farm because that meant literally thousands of more slabs would have had to have been placed. So if I fly to the top of the nether here, there's a much smaller radius that mobs can spawn. So while I'm up here, all I have to do is stay up here for like 10 to 20 seconds. The only thing that's in range is my wither skeleton farm and the slabs that were placed. So I just fall right back down to the bottom, hit my slime block so I don't die, and the wither skeletons are there. Obviously, again, not nearly as efficient as it could be, but I don't really want to place down those thousands more stone slabs needed, and neither did my brother, so this is what we've got. It's still efficient, just not as best as it could be, and from this, we were able to easily get 3 wither skulls just by going up and down, killing all of the skeletons in only 5 minutes. So this is certainly far more efficient than anything I've had in the past, and once I do place down those slabs in the future, it'll be incredibly more efficient. We are approaching nearly our 700th day, and I don't even have time to place those slabs if I wanted to. So I had a plan. I did have some extra days left over. So what I decided to do was actually go to my Piglin Farm, set an auto clicker to click every 2 seconds, and just kill all of these piglins to get as much gold as possible. I sat here for days getting gold, and yeah, maybe that wasn't the best idea because I clearly did not have enough chests to cover all of those items. I had to literally burn hundreds of gold swords and hundreds of stacks of rotten flesh, but once I did that, this is all of the gold we got from our little adventure. Quite a lot. And once you combine that with all of the other gold that I've got in the past, that is enough for a full gold beacon. So I took the gold with me, I got my end crystals, I got my 6 wither skulls, we went to the end, we built a giant beacon in the end to help me defeat the ender dragon plus 2 withers at the same time. Easily the most insane thing I have ever done in Minecraft. The first thing I decided to do was kill the ender dragon because it was flying around and I could just use my elytra to essentially hide from the withers from now. So I figured it would be easiest to kill the ender dragon first. And for some reason, this ender dragon didn't decide to perch until she was on like 1 HP. So I decided to heck with it. You know what? I'll let you do that. You're on 1 HP. I'll let you perch. So she went down, perched. I hit her with my sword just a couple of times, and that was it. The ender dragon is down, 1 boss down, 2 to go. So I went over to the wither and made the wither start targeting me. However, I decided, you know what? This is too easy. So I ran away and I forced the second wither to target me. So I had 2 withers attacking me at the same time. And that was, I mean, it was a little less easy, I guess, but it was still pretty easy. I did have to use 2 golden apples, but other than that, yeah, I never dropped below half HP, and I just killed them both, and there you go, did that. Killed all 3 bosses, all without ever dropping below half HP, got my 2 stars, and we are officially on our 699th day. I was gonna grab my gold beacon and bring it back with me, but I figured, why? I can get gold so fast, now I literally don't care. I can get enough gold for a beacon in like an hour. So I just decided, you know what, we're gonna leave it there. I built 2 more beacons. I decided to put it on my massive iron beacon, because, you know, why not? I needed to put them somewhere, so yeah, there you go. And I just went ahead and decorated them with a little bit of glass, just to make it look a little bit more fancy. And we now officially have 9 beacons shining all around my base. It's actually insane how many orb blocks are through this. We are approaching nighttime, so I grabbed Pongo to watch the sunset with me, and I figured what better place to watch the sunset than right next to our burger, until this island blocked our view and we couldn't see, so that was a fantastic last day in this world. But yeah, as is tradition, obviously I brought Pongo back into my house with me. I slept, and that brought us to day 700. We have officially survived 700 days in hardcore Minecraft. Obviously you can't really see what we did in this video, so it might not seem like a lot. Literally these 2 houses are the only major improvements I made to my base, but we got so much done in this video. The 3 different farms and then getting the hardest advancement in the game. This was easily the most tedious video I have ever recorded in my life. Putting down all of those slabs and transporting that shulker was mind-numbing. I never want to do anything like that ever again in my life. But hey, it was worth it. In the end, we got an achievement that I've never gotten before, and we now have unlimited gold. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe, and I'll see ya in the next one.